we talk about AI, one of the things that fascinates me deeply is the fact that when we talk about AI, or this idea that we can build machines that are like human beings, one of the things that brings up is, well, what does it mean to be human? And in fact, love is one of those innate things that really makes us human, right? It's part of our consciousness. You know, AI is a really old research field. It's been around since the early 50s. The two things we have now, though, is the access to computational power and access to data. So what you can do now, two kids in a garage, you can fire up a, Amazon and Azure or whatever instance, and you can get going with fairly sophisticated machine learning, in a matter of hours. Where 20 years ago, you had to be a professor hired at a university with access to a supercomputer and data from that university. Today, you find most of the data you need online, and you have that computational power. But the basic principle is that while so it's all software, right? Hardware, software, and some data. And the general difference between regular software and machine learning AI software is this. Regular software works more like a calculator, right? You give it A plus B, and you get C. 1 plus 2 always equals 3, every single time. But with a machine learning piece of software running on hardware, it works more like a human brain. And what that means is that you give it A plus B, you might get C the first time, but as the system learns and sees more and more data over time, it will refine its answers, much like a human brain and how we learn over time. But again, we don't really know how the brain works. And then there's also a really interesting question, do we really want to build machines that are just as good as human beings at doing the same things? Or do we want to build machines that augment us and makes us better and are a good complement to what we can do? So even if we have a lot of fundamental math and physics to still figure out, the things we can do with AI over the next few years is absolutely going to blow our minds, even though it's narrow and even though it's not going to wake up and have a conscience of its own quite yet. We'll get there eventually. The first kind of fundamental question is, what businesses or what part of my business will change as a result of AI? And where should I be looking? And the answer is pretty simple, all of them. So where do you start, right? If you're like, okay, I'm a CEO of a company, I'm now ready, where do I start with my AI strategy? This is kind of innovation 101. Still, it has nothing to do with AI, right? What problem are you solving? Who are you solving it for? What data do you need to solve the problem? And what answers do you want from that data? There's this tendency now to just collect a lot of data, which is great, but you need to know what answers you want from it. Otherwise, it's really just a really, really long Excel sheet, and you have nothing, You need to know what answers you want from it, which is why you need to start with what is the problem? Who are you solving that problem for? What is far more important, I think, if we can build one AI tutor per child that knows what your child knows and doesn't know, how that child learns best, and at all times is aware of what that child needs to become the best version of themselves, that is a pretty exciting future to me. And no matter what these AI systems look like, they're going to be more and more personal. They're going to know us, sometimes better than we know ourselves. But also, bringing a little bit of love into it, I am pretty sure that we're going to see an amazing future. Thank you.